Hey guys, I'm Rita, and in today's episode I will guide you through Gekko accounting software. So this is Gekko accounting software tutorial. The best way for me to guide you through this accounting software would be if I would take on a real business concept. So I'm a yoga instructor and I own my little self-employed business. First things first, let's register on Gekko accounting software. So let's register on Gekko. I have typed in my browser getgekko.com and I have selected defaulted language as English. To change language, you can change here, okay? And Gekko provides two packages. Premium, it's a package for which we need to pay, but that is everything an entrepreneur wants. And also more features. But there is another package called Gekko Basic, and that's what I actually need as a small entrepreneur, either freelancer or self-employed, which I am. So I will go for Gekko Basic, and that is for free. I do not need to pay anything, okay? Now we need to provide details about my account. So firstly, I need to add company name. So I will have Rita K, and then I need to provide my full name and email address. So once you have filled in details, click Get Started. So now I have details about what I filled in. I need to select business location. In my case, it will be UK. So, UK. Preferred language is English, but if you click on the drop-down list, you can still change to one which you want to use. And then I need to provide strong password twice, okay? And click, you are done. I'm done, okay? And now we are registered on Gekko accounting software. Okay, let's take my yoga plan and my yoga mat, and I'm not ready actually to go. I have registered on Gekko accounting software. Is that it? Did I add company address? No, I didn't. Well, we need to go through settings section and add information about my own profile as well as company's profile. Yeah, let's have a look at settings section first. Did I add address? Did I? Talking about my business address, it is correct, I haven't added it yet. So where I can add details about my business address. And that will be of course under settings section and not only adding my business address. So let's go to my account. So if I click on my account, I have option also add another company. To be able to add another company, I actually need to be on premium package. So that means on a paid package. Okay, I will click later. Don't want to upgrade. So if you have multiple businesses, you can add new company, but then you will need to sign up on a premium account. Okay, the same is about team. If you want to manage team, to add new member, you will be able to click on add team member, but this is only on a paid package. You can add additional members on a premium package, so you will need to upgrade subscription. Okay, next is a section what we will cover, and it will include also subscriptions. If you are VAT registered business, you will be able to access VAT reports through here, and VAT reports are actually included in premium package as well. Okay, so let's have a look at settings. So firstly, there's two parts of settings. Firstly, it's all about me section called account, and then section called companies. So if you will have multiple companies, when I will click on company details, you will be able to switch between multiple companies if you are using multiple companies here. So let's start with my profile. I can add my profile picture. This is my profile picture. It's not a logo of a company. I can click and drag file here, and it will update information about me. So my full name is correct, email is there as well. I can change password and I can add date of birth, and BSN in UK that would be national insurance number. In any other European countries it's possible called as BSN, so like secure number, birth secure number or personal code. Yeah, it's not your passport or ID card number unless it's directly linked with your security number. Okay. Preferred language, in my case it's English, and my default company is Rita K. If there will be multiple companies from drop-down list, you will be able to select your default company. That is the first one which will show up once you're logging on your account. Okay. Once you do any changes to this section, don't forget to click on Save Settings. Okay. Next section under account is of course subscriptions. That currently I'm on free package, but I can upgrade by clicking on upgrade. And there is details about monthly subscription. If I go on monthly, then it's 12 euros. If I go on yearly, I actually save 22 euros. So there is yearly discount of 50%. Okay. Next, under my account is notifications. So I can enable or disable notifications which I want to receive or I don't want to receive. So I'm quite happy with informed about Gekko updates via emails, but I want to deselect push notifications to my mobile with reminder of deadlines. I will deselect that one. You can also, these ones are defaulted about notifications from mobile or online account. So if you don't want to receive messages from Gekko, deselect that one as well. Okay, and don't forget to save settings. Okay, we covered account section, so that is about me as a personal, as an individual. Next section is about companies. So when I click on company details, as I said, you will be able to select for which company you want to amend information. Okay, so select logo. In my case, I will select logo number 5. And this my business logo have been added. I can still remove it if I wish to. My name of business is Rita K, and I can select type of business entity. It's all in looking by information, looks more like a Dutch, German. I will select other, I'm sole trader, self-employed, okay? And then I need to select sector from available ones. Because I'm yoga instructor, I will go under other because I don't think so it's fall under performing arts in my case. Okay. Company description, I can provide details here, so I will say I'm a yoga instructor. And I can provide here address details. Okay, so I have Positive Avenue, postal code, and city I have London. Okay, and I'm based in UK. I can provide phone number, and also I can enable to show my phone number on invoices. So for example, okay, that's my phone number in this situation. I can provide in Europe, possible it's KVK number, but if you're sole trader or self-employed in other countries like in Europe, you might have a registration number even if you're freelancer or sole trader, then provide that number here. And also if you have VAT registered business, then you can provide VAT with identification number in this field. If you want to show on invoices, don't forget to enable feature to show that VAT registration number on your invoices. Here I can provide my bank name to show on invoices, so I will have Rita's Bank, account number, and I can provide BIC or SWIFT, so I will have RK 78 bank. Okay, and I can enable to show this information on my invoices as well. Don't forget to save settings. Okay, so we have added details about my business logo, as well as provided address details and bank details there. Next section is team. As I mentioned, to add the team members you actually need to be on premium package. I'm on my own, so I don't want to invite anyone else to join my team, but if you will need to invite, click on add team member, provide email address, name and personal message and send an invite. Okay, of course you can select company to which company you want to invite if you have multiple companies. Okay, invoice settings. Here I have logo automatically added based on when I uploaded on my company details, email address there as well, and I can also enable to attach UBL invoice to every sent invoice, as well as asking send me a copy of each sent invoice, which I want to deselect. I don't want to receive copy of each sent invoice. Okay, my default VAT, if I will be VAT registered business, would be 20%. I can update it there, and I can say that I'm VAT exempt, or if I use VAT reverse charges. So if you are VAT registered business and it applies, there is a place where you can amend it. Also, you can note if invoices include or exclude VAT from drop-down list, select ones which applies for you, and also add a payment terms. So in my case, payment terms are 0 days. So select how many days you give your customers to actually pay for invoices. I can add a default message. So for example, dear customer, please find attached invoice. Kind regards, Rita K in my case. Okay, don't forget to change information manually if you send out quotes or credit notes, because this would be defaulted on any emails. Okay, and okay, email message. This is where the email message goes, and on invoice message I will say thank you for your business, and I can add a payment terms. Please transfer money to and provide bank details. So bank account and I have also sort code. Okay, so invoice message will show up on invoices, and email message for invoices will be this one. Okay, company details. So company details are automatically picked up from details when I added on company information on company details section. Then also bank information is there. I can enable or disable if I want to show country, or if I want to show BIC or SWIFT on invoices. In my case, I will deselect. I don't want to show because I have provided information already on invoice message there. Okay, if I have VAT ID number, add there, and if you have sole trader or self-employed number, add it here if you are in Europe. Yeah, be careful what information you provide there. Also, I can enable if I want to show VAT identification number, which is VAT registration number. Phone number is there, and I'm asking to show on my invoices. And also I can provide details of my website. Payments, if I want to enable e-payments, I can add the information there. And also I can enable to include link to pay invoices using e-payment provider Bunk. Okay, and importing hours, so I can add default hourly rate. So my default hourly rate will be, let's say 25, and invoice will include or exclude VAT. So if I select, I can look how 1 decimal, 2 decimals, or 0 decimals. In my case, I will leave as there is 1 decimal in available. Okay, and I can also add a default kilometer compensation. So I can add a rate if a particular rate applies in that country. So for example, I have 55 cents per kilometer driven if I'm claiming. Okay, and click Save Settings. Okay, settings have been saved successfully. Invoice design. To be able to change invoice design as you wish, you actually need to be a premium user, as the message states above. I'm quite happy with how my invoice looks like at the moment, so I will use system defaulted invoice template. Don't want to personalize it a lot. Products. If I want to add products or create groups, I would actually need to be on premium package as well. So for example, if I issue invoices for the same product line, then I can save a time actually just to pick up that particular item line and add to invoice. Otherwise, I would need to enter it manually. The same applies for services what I incur. For example, phone bills, I can create lists as well for that one. But unfortunately, I can not add because I would need to be on a premium package. If I will type in details and click on save, it will ask me to be on to purchase premium package. So to add new products, you would provide description here, you would add an amount, also will decide if that excludes VAT or includes VAT. Please make sure that you select correct category. Also, if tax rate, if it's included, excluded, what rate it applies. Or also if you use groups, maybe grouping by services and products, you will be able to allocate. Once you add, click save information, but as I said, you need to be on premium package to be able to add products to this list. Cost categories. These are the cost categories currently available on free package. If you want to add additional categories, for example, if I want to split my office and administrative costs, for example, rent, phone bills, like more in detailed categories, then I would need to be on premium package to create a code. So for example, if I'm trying to create code for rent and VAT deductible, select or its balance sheet code and click create. And it would advise that as I'm on basic plan, I cannot change my cost categories or nor add additional additional codes to balance sheet if I wish to. I need to be on a premium package to do it, but it's quite simple and straightforward. You just add name, you can change an icon if you wish to, select from category. So for example, you select symbol and you select symbol for balance sheet codes, maybe as a clocks, you can select which one you want to choose, select or add the name of the code and select if it's balance sheet code and VAT deductible if it's apply, and you can create. Any codes that will be not used, you can actually archive by clicking on archive, and yeah, that's quite short list, but for my small business I actually do not need more categories to use. Okay. It doesn't apply to revenue codes, so you will be not able to amend revenue codes, just mainly cost categories and including balance sheet if required. Next section is cars. I can add a car by clicking add a new car in my business, so either company car or private car. In my case I have private car and I have car. Okay, and my brand I will keep the same as a Ford, car and Cope. Okay, odometer, that's a reading from odometer from your car, and I can select used from and used up to. So okay, let's say I purchased it on 2015 on 1st of July and it's been until 31st of July, and click save. Okay, so this adds vehicles, add a new vehicle, and we can actually add only one vehicle. If you want to add more vehicles, we need to purchase premium, so I can actually keep one vehicle on one free package. I can archive it, or if needed I can edit information what I have entered about this private car, or maybe at the end of the day it is company car instead. Yeah? Click update and there is information about cars. Import data. You can actually import data, for example like costs, and you can download cost example file, and the same about customers, so customer example file can be downloaded as well. We can use this information to actually, or template, to upload on Gekko accounting software. They provide also to Moneybird, but I will have a Gekko, choose file and upload, and that would import your not only customer details but also supplier details, so mainly contact details. Okay. And the same, if you need to download data, we can select which year we want to select, and also quarter or all quarters, and then we can download the information from Gekko accounting software. So it will be as a zip file, which will contain all invoices, costs, and also overviews of both in CSV formats if needed. We can also enable or connect ideal payments. Need to connect Molly account to Gekko. In that case, there will be links on invoices, and customers can pay for them by using that link. So we can integrate ideal if we wish to. And also there is a web shop if you want to use it. Then you can also connect a web shop to WooCommerce orders, like Gekko advises there. So what to do if automatic connection doesn't work? There is a link, click on it, and you can enable or check information what doesn't work for you. Okay, so this actually covered section about settings, and now I'm actually ready to run my business from Gekko accounting software. I think so. Now that I have checked my settings section and actually added information where it's required and enabled features what I will use to smoothly run my business operations from Gekko accounting software, I can go and provide my yoga class at the fitness center. Fitness center actually is my supplier as well as customer. So how I can add suppliers and customers on Gekko accounting software? Let's have a look at the next section called contacts. And I'm off to provide my yoga class at fitness center. So how we can add details about our customers and suppliers on Gekko accounting software? We need to go to section called contacts. From here we have two options. Either we can add new contact one by one, or as I mentioned in previous settings section, that we can actually import a file. If we click on import, we'll be brought back to settings section, import data. Just don't forget to click on customers. You can still download template, but if you have downloaded and import, like added information on the template, choose file and click continue, and you will be guided through steps how to upload information. So let's go back to contacts. Before I click on new contact, I want to mention that this is my contact card, so my business contact card, and it's also labeled up as your company, so my company. Okay, let's click on new contact. This card is split in 4 parts. First part is contact details, so we will need to fill in details about our contact. Next section is address. We will need to add information about clients or suppliers' address, country, and also invoice defaults if we want to provide any. Okay, so another point what I want to mention, any mandatory fields will have a little star next to that a title or header of a field. Other are like optional to fill in, but I will try to fill in as much as possible. Okay, so firstly I have fitness center as a name of my contact, so fitness center Limited. My contact details are John Green, and email address I will provide actually my own email address, so once I issue invoices I can show how they look like. Okay, I can also add details about phone number, registration number of a company. It's called Kiwi Key on Netherlands, I think so. So in Europe, that's mean like registration number, and also VAT registration numbers here as well. And now I can select if this is customer, or maybe this is a supplier contact details, or like in my case, fitness center is customer as well as supplier. So leave both as enabled. Okay, address details. So I have Healthy Street. And now I can also enable to show country on an invoice if I wish to. And also I can change country of this particular customer or supplier if needed. Okay, invoice defaults, I can add a default hourly rate if I wish to, also kilometers compensation, payment terms, so in my case payment terms 7 days, and I can also add additional notes. So default hourly rate, in my case it is £20, and default kilometers compensation we have agreed as 55 cents in my case, and click Save Contact. So now, because I have added fitness center as supplier as well as customer, it shows as a with a forward, how was it called? Okay, so it's showing that it's supplier and customer. How to add new contact, like for example pure customer, I will click on new contact there, and then I just leave enabled customer. So I will fill in details for my customer. So I have Jane T. Okay, so now I have added Jane as a customer, and it shows that this is a customer that has been added. Now I will add also suppliers, so click new contact, and I will disable customer and I will enable supplier. So I have one of my suppliers called Phone Limited. Okay, and now I have added supplier, so supplier will have different label color. So this is the way how we can add contacts. If you need to add it in edit information, just click on that contact list and you can actually decide what you want to do. For example, share invoices, archive or delete contacts. Under documents, there is no document found, but we will be able to upload later and allocate if required. So if you need to delete contact, click on this delete contact, or if it's inactive, we can archive these contact details. Okay, so this covers section called contacts. When I arrived at the fitness center, I actually had about 10-15 minutes to wait on attendees to join a yoga class, and I met fitness center director who actually agreed with me, so extended contract, that I can actually recharge for trips and additional spend hours on providing yoga classes at their fitness center. Amazing news! So I looked at Gekko accounting software and I found out that I can actually record trips as well as hours and use that information to invoice fitness center. So let's have a look at next two sections called trips and hours. Now let's have a look at trips and hours. Hours I will be able to record based on my project, so I will show you how we can create a project and then start to allocate time as well. Also, we can allocate trips based on a project as well, but firstly let's add first trip without allocating to project. So there is a separate section called trips. Here, to add a new trip, click on this button called plus new. Now we can manage cars. So for example, if you're on premium account, you can add new cars there, or like I'm on the free package, then I can edit my current vehicle if I wish to. Okay, so let's click new. I need to select the date of this trip, so it was on 25th, and I need to type in details of when this trip took place. So in my case it took at 5 o'clock because at 6 o'clock I have a lesson, so I will say that I left at 5 o'clock my premises. Okay, number is automatically generated by system, you can still amend if you wish to, and I need to select type of this trip, either business, private, or it was maybe commute. So in my case it is business trip. Okay, now I can add a route, so from and to. You can add an address. If you are on premium package, you will be able to calculate route from point 1 to point B. So if you provide postcodes, for example, system will automatically calculate your route. Okay, so in my case I will call London. I will add parking 1, so it's my premises one, and then London I will call as fitness center parking 1. Okay, as I said, if you will have a premium package, you'll be able to calculate the route. I can select transport type. Maybe I have taken instead of car, maybe I took public transport, or maybe I was cycling, so I took a bike. Select one which applies to you. In my case, it's car. And if you have multiple cars, from drop-down list you will be able to select a car registration number. System has selected already my car, which only one I have on my free Gekko accounting software package. Okay, now I need to add the total distance. So my total distance was 35 kilometers, and I can add how many kilometers out of these 35 were private, and I would say 5 kilometers were private. I need to add, it's mandatory to add odometer reading, so I will say that I have 87 in this case. And also I can provide other information, for example, duration, customer, project, and description. This section is not mandatory, but if I want to provide, I can say that I spent 50 minutes on a road. Customer, it relates to Fitness Center Limited, and currently I will be not able to select project, but once you add projects, you can also go and amend this information. And I can add descriptions, so for example, travel from going to supplier or customer meetings, you can provide details there. And click Save Trip. Now trip has been recorded there, and all kilometers, total kilometers shows up there, as well as time. So how I can record hours? So if I go to hours section now, here I can see all my available customers from my list. So if it's not showing up, click on this blue triangle facing downwards, and there is Fitness Center. To add a project, if I wish to, I can click on Add Project, and then I can provide the project name details. So for example, project is, in my case, it's yoga classes. Okay, and I can add a project contact name as well as project reference, notes, and default hourly rate. So default hourly rate is 20 for me, and I can also say that this is my favorite project if I wish to, and click Save. Okay, so now project has been added, and it was also marked as a favorite. I can add another project. For example, I have also Pilates classes, for example, and I can add an hourly rate and save this one. So there is also another class, Pilates classes, and I can record time for all of them. So for example, for your yoga classes, I can add okay, I cannot invoice at the moment. Let's go back to hours. Pressed the wrong button. So I can start the timer. Okay, and timer started here, so I can select to which project this actually relates, and I will say for yoga classes. So now this timer is counting seconds. To stop timer, I will need to click on this pause section, for example, and now it allows me to record time. So for example, I will say there is 1 hour 15 minutes to yoga classes, and I can say this one is called as a lesson. Okay, and click Save. So now for today there was yoga classes lesson recorded. If I want, I can actually drop to time where it applies to. So let's go back. Okay, so I have previous week, so I draw at 5 o'clock, so I had a timer here, and I can add the time what I spent. So in my case, I spent 2 hours. 02. Start time, I can amend. Start time was at 6 o'clock and ended at 8 o'clock. This is where I can select the date, so in my case it was on Friday. Activity description. And I can add 2 groups. Okay, And project is allocated to yoga classes. I can change if I wish to, for example, to Pilates classes if needed. I will keep to yoga classes. And I can put the status as uninvoiced or invoiced. So in my case, it's uninvoiced at the moment and created by me, and I can click save. So now I have added on previous week classes what I have taken. So I can click on it and still amend details if I wish to, or also if I need to delete this one. To add a new class, for example, I had also class on Wednesday. It's the same way, click where you want to add or record hours. So I will add 2 hours, started at 6. Times 2 groups in my case, and the same, and click save. So it's adds on a calendar. If I look above, I can look on a list, so there is a classes for particular time frame, or I can look at month and it shows times already here and where I have spent these times with all descriptions provided below as well. So this is a way how we can record hours and keep track of all hours. If I click on list and I select remove this filter, then all classes will be recorded there, and I can see how many hours I have actually spent, and it's showing that there is 5 hours 15 minutes uninvoiced. To be able to invoice hours, if I click to invoice an hours, there is total hours of 530 and hourly rates are set up. I can still change it and click on add to invoice, okay, at a later time. So this just shows a template of an invoice and information. So let's go back to trips and click on trips, and I can allocate to my project now, and it was yoga classes in my case, and click save trip. Okay, so if we need to add an additional trip, click new trip, provide details, and click save trip. And the same applies about hours. If we want to record additional hours, click schedule maybe in the future, as I clicked there, click on this plus, and we can provide details of lessons. So in my case, it will be from 9 till 10:30, and in this case, it will be Pilates class. And click save. Okay, so this is a way how we can record projects, record hours, as well as record trips for my projects if I'm working on, and to allocate. And I can use that information later to recharge to my customers if I need to. Hello, Rita speaking. Yeah, of course you can pay by bank transfer. Yeah, it will be my personal bank account. Okay. Yeah, I will send you details shortly. Speak soon. Bye, bye. On Gekko accounting software, we can actually enable automated bank feeds. So let's have a look at next section called bank. Let's have a look at bank section now. So at top header, we have an icon called bank. And unfortunately, we cannot upload bank statements manually, as there is no space or icons to do so. Only way how we can manage our bank transactions is to connect with your, or in my case, my bank. There is only 3 countries which allows you to connect to bank account, and there are Netherlands, Belgium and Spain in beta tests currently. For example, there is a list of banks provided in each country what you can connect. However, there is information that if bank doesn't provide a real-time connection, so we can actually open a business account in Internet Bank N26. This is the icon for N26. And then we would be able to link to N26 and pull transactions through. However, there is a list of countries which are supported to register or open account with N26. So just check out if your country is included on that list. So if I click on N26, it actually will guide to next step, advising what steps I will need to take so I can successfully connect my bank account with Gekko accounting software. So when I will click on open N26 login, in my case it's N26, in your case it will be your bank account, you will be directed to that bank account login page. Once you will fill in details and you will be authenticated, you will be brought back to Gekko account. So I don't have N26 account because currently I'm not based in one of those countries who are listed on N26 page. So I was unable to open business bank account. So don't worry, I will quickly show how this process is working because Gekko actually provides an intro. So when you click on view intro, you can actually skip it or start the tour. So this is a process. You will select your bank account which you want to connect to your account. Then transactions will be pulled through. So in this case, it's showing a date, transaction description, where the who was either receiving money from or who was paid or who you paid out money to, bank account, and there is a type, and type it means that is this being allocated or reconciled, and in this case every transaction which will be pulled through will be automatically defaulted to type of unassigned. So that means that this transaction haven't been reviewed yet. And then there is of course amount with minus sign, meaning that money goes out, with plus sign means that money comes in. Okay. Next, if you will connect to an invoice, so for example to a supplier invoice, it will show that it's connected to a particular supplier invoice in this case, or maybe even receipt. And once you connect, you can see that the status of that transaction will be changed depending on with what transactions you will connect on Gekko accounting software. Okay, and there is a note because I'm on free account, so I will have limited only 50 transactions to reconcile. So if you have lots of transactions, you might need to consider to actually go to premium user on Gekko accounting software. Okay, and that's quick guide about banking. You can actually manually mark invoices and supplier invoices as paid, and we will cover that one in next sections, but this covers section about bank. I have so many receipts, I need to sort them out because some receipts relate to my business. So how I can actually add receipts, business related, on Gekko accounting software as well as supplier invoices, or known as bills as well, on this software as well. Let's have a look at the next section called costs. So how we can add supplier invoices as well as receipts. I have sorted them out, how to record on Gekko accounting software. There is a separate section called costs. Here, to add new cost, either supplier bill or receipt, click on new cost. Before we actually start to type in details and looking at physical receipt or physical supplier invoice, we can actually upload it here and all details will be provided, so we can easily fill in details on left hand side. So click on this and select an invoice. So in my case, first one, I have receipt for stationery. I will open it. If I would be on premium or paid package on Gekko, I can actually enable smart scan. So this receipt would be scanned and details would be as much as possible filled in on behalf of Gekko for me. Only thing what would be left for me is just to check information and save the costs or record this transaction. Okay, so cost date, in my case, I have 10th of August, and cost number, this is automatically generated by system, but I can actually add a receipt number. So I will leave a year as the first half, and then I will have an invoice number 56. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5 6 in this case. Supplier, either I can select from my list of all suppliers available, or I can add new supplier and provide details here. So I will add details as book limited, and I will click create. Supplier has been added there. Amount, I have 54, and I will exempt from tax. Okay, let's provide definitely what rates. Okay, and I will exempt from that. Okay, category, so firstly description, I have stationery, and I can select payment type. So if this has been not paid yet, I can mark that one as not yet paid as a status. If it's paid by credit card, or if it's paid by cash or private account, I can select one which applies. So in my case, this has been paid by cash or private account, and I need to select cost type. Under cost types, there is not loads of to choose from, but in my case, this one relates to office and administrative costs. Select one which is appropriate to you. Okay. Customer, I don't want to allocate to customers, and I don't want to allocate to projects at the moment. Okay, so there was a warning advising that there is incomplete, there is missing taxes. Make sure that you go back and make sure, in my case, I'm not recording VAT, so I will select exempt from tax and click save costs. Okay, now this receipt has been recorded. Also, it shows a little pin on a green background advising that this has been that this receipt or expense or cost has attached receipt, and it also shows as a complete, so it's paid for. If I click on this transaction line, then actually I can delete or copy, but to copy I need to be on premium account, unfortunately, so we'll need to do more manual stuff. Yeah. So if you need to change or amend, replace file, or maybe download this receipt, we can do it when you click on that particular transaction. So let's add next one. So I will click new costs. I will select supplier bill. So in my case, I have fitness center bill for 180 euros. Okay, it shows up there. So there is details, there is date, invoice number is there as well. So I can fill in details there. So date was 28 and invoice number was actually IN VFC and 239. Okay, supplier, I can select my fitness center. Amount, I had 180, and there is no VAT in my case for my simple purposes. Okay, description, I have yoga classes, fitness room rent, so room rent, and I can select how this has been paid. In my case, it's been paid by bank transaction, and I can select what this relates to, and I would say that this relates to, in my case, it's not materials, it will go under other costs in my case, exempt, and that's fine, and click save costs. Okay, so now fitness room rent has been recorded as well. Let's add a new cost, and for example, add a new cost for, in my case, phone. And for this phone, I will mark that this invoice has been not paid yet because due date is actually 30th of August. So invoice date is actually 23rd, and invoice number is phone. I have 50, there is no VAT in my case, and description is mobile phone, and type of transaction I will say not yet paid, and cost type, in my case this will go under office and administrative. Okay, and click save costs. Okay, because this has been not paid yet, its status will show as unpaid. Okay, so how, if it's paid by credit card, it should show as well. So for example, I paid print limited with a credit card, so date of this invoice was 22nd, and it's print as a invoice number. Supplier, it's new supplier, so I will add new supplier and I will call that one print as a limited. Okay, great, it has been added there. Now total is actually 750, and I will add zeros. Description, material, printing and binding. I paid by credit card, and cost category, in my case it's materials, it's exempt, and save costs. Okay, so now I have added stationery and paid from personal, fitness room was paid from bank account, and materials was from credit card paid. Only invoice what is outstanding is mobile phone, which hasn't been paid yet. If we want to edit it, we can click on it, and at later time, if I have paid it, I can actually mark this one as paid and select from which bank or cash or credit card I have actually paid for. So for example, if I click on bank transactions and click save costs, okay, save costs. Okay, status has been changed to complete. Okay, we'll put back as unpaid at the moment. Okay, so that's unpaid. So this is the way how we can upload receipts or even supplier invoices and mark if paid or not paid and enter on Gekko accounting software. I'm providing yoga classes not only at my fitness center. I also provide live stream yoga classes twice a week. So customers who are willing to join using their laptops or tablets or phones, they can join these classes in live stream. There is monthly subscription, how they can join class, and that would mean that I need to issue invoices to those customers as well. So, sorry, a little bit out of breath. How I can issue invoices as well as quotes and credit notes if required on Gekko accounting software. Let's have a look at next section called invoices. Let's have a look how we can issue quotes, invoices, and if you need to issue credit notes, how we can do it on Gekko accounting software. When we scroll on the top header section above invoices, there is subsection now expanded and it's called quotations. So to issue quotes, we need to click on quotations. From here, to add a new quote, I will need to click on plus. Please note that as I'm not on a premium account, I will be able only create up to 3 quotations, and the same will apply to you. If you want to use more than 3 quotations, you will need to upgrade to premium account. Okay, let's click on plus new, select the customer or project to which this relates. So in my case, it will relate to Pilates classes, and I need to select currency. So system, Gekko defaulted currency is euros. If I want to issue invoices in different currencies, I will need to upgrade to a paid package, to premium package. Okay, so I will keep euros as it is. Click create quotation, and now I have option to check details. So firstly, there is information about me, which cannot be changed. But when I hover about customer, I can actually edit details by clicking on this blue pen, and I will be able to update information. The same applies to quotation information. So quotation number is automatically generated by system. If I need to provide reference, so I will have, for example, fitness center Pilates, then I can add that information here. Also, I can change quotation date. So for example, quotation date was 22nd and valid for, I will give 10 days, and click save. information will be updated there. Yeah. Now I need to add quantity, description, unit price excluding VAT or including VAT. From drop-down list you can change to one which you want to look at. Okay, then there is total, and plus if it's excluding VAT, then there will be VAT rates what you can select. In my case I'm VAT exempt. Okay, I'm not VAT registered business. So let's add description. So I have Pilates classes and I will add monthly. And Pilates classes monthly, I have total of 8 classes per month, and this would cost based on how many people, but minimum I would say 6 people, and 6 people at in my case it would be 250 as a price per 8 Pilates classes. Okay, so if I need to add any additional information I can provide there. So maybe I want to add travel, additional hours, and that maybe is totals up to 100 euros in my case. If I'm happy with all information, I can still add description of the work if I offered or any other information what's required, and I can save as a draft or save and send quotation. If I click save as a draft, this quotation is in draft status, and if I go to quotations, it shows as in status of draft. From 3 dots I can edit this quotation, send quotation, change status, download or delete. So if I click on edit, I can change information if required, but if I'm happy with all information above, I can save and send quotation. Okay, now there is email address, my personal email address, so I can show you how quotation looks like. Subject, there is quotation, and I can add a message. So hi, as per our discussion, for example, please see quotation attached. Okay, there is quotation information there provided, and click send quotation. Okay, now status has changed to shared. If I click on 3 dots, I can still edit, I can send reminders, I can change status. If I click on change status, I can change to new status, either rejected, accepted or invoiced if needed. I can download or delete this quote. If I go to my mailbox, quotation has been sent and it shows as an email address, and I can click view quotation and it shows there. Okay, so it displays to me, and I can actually from my account to accept quotation, reject it or download. So in my case I will say that I accept this quotation. I need to provide name, so for example I had John Green. I accept this quotation and accept quotation. Okay, so now if I go back to my account and I go to quotations, status has changed to accepted, and if I click on 3 dots I can copy this now quotation to an invoice. I can change status, so I can still change to status to invoiced. I can download or delete. So if I click on this actual quotation, also I can copy to invoice from this top section. So copy to invoice. And now I have option to edit invoice for Fitness Center Limited. Yeah, there is all information provided. There is the details of invoice what I provided in settings, and I can schedule it. To schedule invoice, I will need to provide details. That means that it's repeating. So for example, if this is agreement for next 3, 6 or 12 months, I can actually repeat this recurring invoice. I can add start date, frequency, how often. So frequency is daily, weekly or monthly, every 2-3 weeks. If it's selected months, I can select how often, every maybe quarter it needs to be issued invoice, or if it's in daily, I can select which days it needs to be repeated or created by. Okay. Also, when it ends, if it's never ends, that means that it will be on an ongoing basis until I cancel. I can select after how many times. So for example, if this agreement is for 6 months, I can put 6 times, or there is particular end date. So for example, end of December or end of November. To be able to set up recurring invoices, I need to be a premium user. In other cases, I will just need to manually create invoices and issue to this customer. Okay, so that is schedule. I can save a draft or save invoice and send. So if I click save invoice and send, there is the details provided, including automatic information in message box what I provided on settings section, and I can mark as send or send invoice. So if I want to send physically to customer, click on send invoice. If I have downloaded and possible handed physically, then I can mark as send this invoice. Okay. So now I showed you how we can create quote, approve it, and how we can convert to an invoice. So if I go back to invoices now, then this shows that this invoice has been created and it has been sent. If I go to quotations, status from approved has changed to invoice now. Okay, so how I can issue invoices? To issue invoices, quite straightforward. I can add it by clicking on new. Okay, select the customer. So in my case, I have Jane, and create invoice. I need to provide quantity. So in my case, one quantity, and it is a yoga class online. Okay, and it is monthly subscription at 55 euros. And I can still edit date. For example, this should have been issued on 1st of August. Don't forget to click save. And if I want, I can import, for example, additional information. So either costs, hours, trips, or products, I can import if needed and add to that invoice. And I can save invoice and send. And we have option to mark as send if we have already distributed this invoice in different ways. Okay, so because I have selected as a 1st August, system actually warns if I want to change to today's date, maybe I have mistyped something, and I will ask to send as it is. Okay, so now Jane's invoice is overdue, which is correct. How we can actually mark that one as paid? We can add payment by clicking on 3 dots and click add payment, and I know that Jane has paid me. I can select the payment type. So in this case, Jane paid me in cash, but if someone have paid me via bank transfers, then I can say as a bank transaction. So she have paid in cash, select the date, she paid actually on the same date, and description is online live stream. Okay, and register payment. Okay, so if I go back to invoices, my invoice from Jane T is now status has changed to paid, from overdue to paid. Okay, so let's add a couple more customer invoices. So now let's have a look how I can actually recharge fitness center for my hours spent additionally to our agreed classes, as well as to for my trips. So how I can do it? So click on new, and I will select fitness center, and I will click create invoice. From here I can amend the date. As I mentioned, I will keep today's date as it is, and I can click on import, and now I can import hours. So I have two lots of import hours to rechargeable, so for my Pilates classes and for my yoga classes, and I can click add to invoice. So now Pilates and yoga classes have been added hours, and also I can import for my trips distance covered. Okay, I can group all in a one line. Just select how you want. If you want to show dates and times, then select no grouping. Otherwise you can select all, and it will be displayed only as a one line and showing trips between which dates. Okay, and add to invoice. So now I have Pilates classes, yoga classes, and there is a trips 184 kilometers at a rate of note 55. Okay, and this is an invoice with added rechargeable agreed hours what I have recorded, as well as my trips for going to fitness center and providing my classes. Then I can click save invoice and send, and I will mark as sent. Okay, so now invoice has been sent. To mark as paid, click add payment, and I actually received today by bank transaction description, and I can quote an invoice number 05. Okay, and register payment. So now if I go back to invoices, this invoice has been marked as paid. So how we can issue actually credit notes? So for example, for Pilates classes, I need to issue credit note for maybe partial amount. So how I can issue credit note for it? To issue credit note, I need to go to three dots and actually click on credit invoice. To credit invoice, I can amend the date if required. I can also add a reference if required, and then I can select which lines I actually want to credit. In my case, I want to credit £10 out of this line and £25 out of that line, because that is a discount. Okay, so if I want to provide, I can add here, and I can add note discount credit note in my case. Okay, so there is £35 as a credit, and I can save invoice and send. Oh, okay, I haven't saved this one. Okay, need to make sure. Save invoice and send, and I will mark as send. Okay. So now this has been sent out, and it has been credited. If I click on add payment, I have 350 there. Okay, I need to go to credit note, I think so. Yep, I need to go to credit note and actually allocate this one to an invoice. So I can click on add payment 35. I will select payment type as cash or private, and I will copy credit note information. Okay, register payment, and if I go to invoices, I will click on this amount and I will add payment, and in this case I will add payment for £35. Payment method, I will select the same account, and description I will say credit note amount. Okay, and register payment. Okay, so now I have 315 left to pay to this or receive from this customer. Okay, so credit note is there. I can download, send again, copy this credit note, credit invoice, which will be credit as a credit note, add payments, or delete. So this section covered how we can issue quotes, how we can convert quotes to an invoices, how we can actually schedule recurring invoices if we need to, how we can issue standard invoices, and how we can record credit notes for partial amount, but the same process would apply if we need to issue credit note for full amount on Gekko accounting software. So phone, internet, okay, that's been added. Lucy and Jane invoiced as well. But how well actually I have done in this past period? To find out more, I need to have a look at dashboard and report sections on Gekko accounting software. And this will conclude the end of this tutorial. So let's have a look at last sections, dashboard and reports. Let's have a look at dashboard and reports, but where I can access reports right on Gekko accounting software. To access reports, we need to hover above dashboard, and then there is two subsections called reports and documents. We will cover documents a little bit later, but what we can actually look at under reports. As a non-premium user, I have access only to two reports. Revenue and expenses as a summary, so I cannot see breakdowns by categories. All what it shows that there is net income of 2.8k and paid invoices out of these 2.8k totals to 1.4k. And there is total expenses totals to 1.1k and unpaid expenses are 400. If I'm based on accruals basis, then my margin would be actually 1.2 or 1.3k. If I'm based on reporting on my cash basis, then it will be paid invoices 1.4 less my paid bills 1.1, which would give me about £323 as a margin. Not bad, I have made little bit profit, and considering that my unpaid expenses only totals 400 and unpaid invoices totals almost 1,400, there is another potential 1,000 euros what will go towards to my profit, right? So good. We can also see in a graph display above, so we can see unpaid income in a like lighter green, and in dark green we can see what is my income for this quarter. The same applies for expenses. Darker brown are expenses what have been paid, and lighter expenses are what haven't been paid yet. I can flip between periods, so for example I can look at monthly breakdown, and there is monthly information. So if you will provide every month income and expenses, it will really fill up your chart, and all details will be provided below that graph display as well. Okay, if I look at another report, so another report what I can access for free is hours. So here I can see actually when and what hours I have recorded, and it also shows if those been invoiced or uninvoiced. I can select customers, so I can select particular customer and particular project. So in my case, if I look at Pilates, then I can see Pilates there. I can select which ones are there, and I can mark as invoiced if I haven't marked them, mark as not invoiced, edit, or also delete these hours if I wish to. There's a couple of options here. It's the same if I look at yoga classes, you can see how graph is changing there. I can see an hour, like how many hours have been spent, and it also shows in which days. So on Mondays there was 1.5 hours total and 1.5 hours being invoiced. If I look on all customers, then I can see that there have been a total of 525 hours. Okay, so I can look by time frame. So if I want to look only a particular week, so for example I want to look on week 15 to maybe 21st, then I have provided only classes there, and I can see that there is a breakdown that I have provided 1.5 hours for Pilates and about 4 hours and a quarter for yoga classes. So I can see breakdowns there as well. About trips, actually if you go to trips section, you can get information here, which is showing that there was total time and how many kilometers been driven. You can download by clicking on download, and it will be downloaded as Excel. So even if you cannot access your trips, you can actually go to trips section and download report if you need to analyze it, as it shows also total time and total kilometers driven. Okay, if I look back on reports, that's it. We cannot get any other reports on my free basic plan. Under premium, if you are more advanced business and you need to provide financial statements, which include balance sheets, products and services, and etc., then you will be able to look at any of those reports below, including VAT, cost categories, cash flows, and there is something else as well to cover. So there is more options to look at under premium plan if you decide to go for it. So, but not only we can have here 2 reports, also dashboard would give a little bit more insight if required for us. Firstly, we can add widgets if we want, so we can remove or add more these tables if we wish to. So firstly, revenue and expenses, we covered that one already. We can change, if we click on these free lines, we can look at monthly breakdown. It should show every month, and when you hover above, you can see information showing up, changing from paid to not paid. Yeah. Then we can also look by years if you will have multiple years, and we can remove from dashboard and also refresh data if they haven't refreshed yet. Okay. Then below we have an option to look at cost overview. So it's showing that there have been 6 invoices recorded for total amount. If I look on details, I can select and change filters for each of those details provided. So I can select any period, or I can look at 90 days, quarter, or this quarter. You can modify as you wish the information. There is hours overview, so there have been 3275 invoiced. If there will be anything uninvoiced, it will show up below. And there is invoice overview, so total invoices from last days were 2000, making 2800 almost. If I click on this one, in this number, it actually will bring down to invoices section. If we want, we can actually download information. We cannot design invoices because we are not on premium package, but if you will be able to design. Also look at product settings and enable e-payments if you wish to. But we can download this information as Excel or PDF if required, and use this information to analyze details. So there is total of invoiced, and of course there is a status showing up. Also, I forgot to mention that you can actually filter by statuses if you want. So for example, the sent ones, corrections made, if you have overdue invoices. So you can actually filter by any status on both on invoices, or even if you need to look on costs, the same would be on any status there. So for example, unpaid ones, then it will filter out only unpaid ones, and you can download that information as well for cost side as well. Okay, so if you click on these boxes, they will direct to that section what is relates to. Okay, let's go to total. So 1518 is total costs, and it matches with this amount. Yeah, please note that that amount might be different depending on what period you have selected there. Okay, and there is also trips overview of 1084 kilometers of work, and it's showing that 5 kilometers were made for private. To be paid, this summary shows that there is 1 invoice sent for 960, and there is 2 overdue invoices for 395. So this to be paid, so I'm awaiting payments of 1355. If I'm look here, 1355 is what's been not paid yet. So 2 are overdue, and there is also invoice number. So if I click on that invoice number, I can actually send a reminder directly if I wish to. These haven't been paid yet. Yeah. Okay, so the same applies. I can have a look of which invoices I haven't paid yet. So I haven't paid print invoice. So if I click on print, I can see this rent invoice, actually rent information haven't been updated here. Oops, okay. So I can actually see which invoices haven't been paid yet. So example, phone bill. Phone haven't been paid 50 and it's overdue, and I can check information, and if it has been paid, actually I can change payment type to one where I have paid this invoice from. Okay, So this is to be paid, but actually we can also add a widget, and if you want, we can add a previous payment, and there is previous payment, so we can see that there is bank transactions totaling this amount, and there is cash transactions of 55, so there is payments in. And payments out, I can show, I can see a breakdown, so there have been unpaid transactions of 400, which I'm still need to decide where I will pay them from, and credit card, cash and back transactions. If I click on hold, I can actually drop to bottom, and I can change layout as I wish how I want it to be set up. So for example, I want to make sure that invoices are next to below my costs, and then hours and trips are below, and my previous payments are next to my to be paid. So I can manage as I wish. What else we have on the right hand side? Actually we have company profile information. To complete profile, you will actually need to connect your registration number of a business. It doesn't apply to me. And also I can look at account timeline. I can look by content type, for example invoices. It filters only invoices, when they've been added and to whom. Also about cost sides, or if I want to look on contacts and when contacts been added, which date and by who. Also I can look by users. If you will have multiple users, if you are a premium package user, then you will be able to select and check. This works like an audit of account. So we covered dashboard and reports. What I want to quickly touch up is the documents. So in documents section, actually we can upload files, and I can store files on my free package up to 50 megabytes. And there might be like contracts or agreements. I need to select a file. So in my case, I will just select one random file. I will select this one, but it might be like a agreement. Okay. I can add description, and I can add a type, so select type, so I can say that it's terms and conditions, maybe it's a diploma or contract, so contract is agreement, valid from and until, so I can add a timeline, so it is valid from 1st of August, and it is actually valid until end of December in this case. And I can select customers, so it is fitness center, and I can allocate to particular project, and if needed. So in my case, I will select that it's not to project, so I will click add document. So now 23.9 kilobytes out of 50 megabytes have been uploaded there. If I click on three dots, I can share this document, edit, download, or even delete if I do not need this one in my records to keep. If I go to my contacts, and if I look at fitness center, if I look on documents, there is this contract added as well. So this is where we can manage our documents, and this is the way how we can attach support documents to contacts. Okay. Also, you can see if there is multiple projects, we'll be able to see projects there under our particular customer in my case. Yep. So now we covered last section called dashboard and reports. I hope you found my Gekko accounting software tutorial useful, and this will be a good guide for you to start using this accounting software by yourself. But if you have any questions or require any further advice, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye!